first week of my deck study with the MaryEl Tarot. I pull 3 cards for each chapter that I read in the book, Women Who Run with the Wolves. As I read the book, I'm going to study the card meanings, and I figure out how these cards connect with the chapter that I'm reading so that I can learn the deck, but on a more deeper, intuitive level. So, the 3 cards that I pulled was the Moon, the World, and the Two of Discs. And I felt like this was a really interesting complement to the first chapter in this book. Now, the first chapter in the Women Who Runs with Wolves book is about resurrecting the wild woman archetype. This is that intuitive, wise, life-giving force inside all of us that's connected to nature, creativity, sensuality, and instinct. Now, there has been a loss of instinct and intuition that the author describes. In La Loba, the bone woman, she gathers bones and she sings them back to life. This myth is the central metaphor in this chapter. It's about recovering parts of ourselves, the lost parts of ourselves, the memories, the instincts that might be hidden from us. This really resounded for me in the moon. The moon archetype is about the hidden parts of ourselves, the parts that are maybe lost or distinct or not on the surface, maybe simmering in the subconscious. The moon represents the shadow self, the mystery, buried emotions, the feminine psyche within all of us. Ultimately, the moon is the archetype of transformation. In chapter 1, the wild woman is seen as the unseen intuitive self. And for many aspects, the moon card is that intuitive self. The blue vulture in the artwork and the open mouth woman represent La Loba to me. That bone gathering, death, rebirth figure. Very much like the vulture, she feeds on what is dead and brings it back to life, very much like a resurrection. The second card that I pulled was the World. And this archetype is represented in chapter 1 because this is about going back to the beginning. This is about wholeness, completeness, becoming a full cycle. In this first chapter, the author talks about reintegration of the fragmented self. How does your story end? How do you stay connected to your instincts, your soulful purpose, your life meanings, that inner rhythm of your true psyche, your true essence? The World archetype is not just about resurrection, but it's becoming whole, becoming cosmic again, and that cosmic calling within all of us. The third card that I pulled is the Two of Discs. Now, this is really interesting because we have a woman who's cloaked in green and life and vitality, and yet she has 2 coins over her eyes, which represent that Greek myth of Charon over the river Styx, in which coins are placed over the dead's eyes as payment into the afterlife. This imagery really powerfully evokes that threshold moment, that decision to make that journey back to the self, the connection between the wild woman and the afterlife or the spirit energy. This is the price of transformation, I think. Letting go of comfort, letting go of old roles, or how to identify something within you that is more primal and real. In the book, the author talks about the significance of duality, that inner conflict that many of us women have between the feral, wild self and the tame self. This duality can be represented in the Two of Discs in the sense of the different perspectives that we bring to ourselves and our own journey as women. It is the, psychic price of resurrection that we might claim in our multifaceted perspective as seen through the lens of this archetypal wild woman that she introduces us to in chapter 1. Overall, I feel like the MaryEl Tarot is a very good complement to this book so far, because the MaryEl Tarot is different in the sense that it is more rooted in the mythology, the spiritual aspect of the tarot, and the Wild Women Who Run with Wolves is a book like, it's almost as if you're reading through a dream. That's how I would explain the the text. It's like you're walking through a dream. You're walking through symbolism and deeper layers of meaning, much like the artist who's created this tarot deck. The moon is our descent into our psyche, the different levels of our mind, our soul, the parts of us that are in shadow. It's our first introduction to the wild woman archetype. The world represents our journey into wholeness as we develop our sense of purpose and our full cycle of our soul itself. And then finally, the Two of Discs indicate the different perspectives, the conflicting perspectives that we might have on this transformation of, breathing life into the bones, that payment of perception, and that willingness to cross that threshold into the unknown. That is chapter 1 of Women Who Run with the Wolves, and my analysis of the 3 cards that I pulled for chapter 1. I'm going to pull 3 more cards for chapter 2 and continue my deck study. And if you have the MaryEl Tarot and this book, I hope you join along with me. Combining literature with tarot is a great way to just immerse yourself in the meanings of the cards and the poetry of the artwork and it can be just an interesting thought experiment. So I hope you join me for chapter 2, and take care, everyone. Bye.